Oh man.
I think I'm just doing it wrong.
It's all good.
Yeah, it probably does not.
Where is everybody from? Just list the different countries. And please, no planets this time. Last time people were like Pluto, Mars. All right, cool. We'll give like another minute for everybody to trickle in.
My God, look at that
Oh
chat.
my god.
What the hell?
Brazil,
Yes.
Brazil, Brazil. Yes, yes.
Anybody joining us from Taiwan? Because that would be pretty badass. Besides Frank.
I don't think so.
Wait a minute. It's like, come on. Now someone is just gonna. Oh, Taiwan.
There you go.
Canada.
Alan doesn't sound like someone from Taiwan.
Wait a second, Alan? Like
Yeah.
our studio Alan?
I am from Taiwan, if that counts. No, that does count, Alan. I'll take it.
I can't see the chat as well, for some reason. Where do you see the chat?
How are you guys seeing it on your end?
It was just here when I got here.
Yeah, it's under the Google Hangouts page.
I mean, can you see I'm typing?
Yeah, smiley face.
Yeah. So I can't see anything else though.
Yeah,
It popped up above your name here at the bottom.
Yeah,
What?
I just saw you typing smiley face. Well, as I said,
What's the button? I don't see anything.
oh, it's probably on the other screen. Maybe that's one of those. As I said, it's like, let's just focus on the session because
that's
you guys are
fine.
going to have a lot of, So, all right, guys, so let's kick it off. Thank you so much for joining us for another live session. It is my pleasure to have some of the best artists in the industry for this session. We're really lucky to have the character arts team from Uncharted 4. So the way the session is going to work, guys, it's for those of you guys who've done this before, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to just go through this. It's like if you have any questions, definitely feel free to post them, but there's a good chance we might not get to them because we already have like a list of about 100 questions that everybody has asked beforehand, and so we're going to prioritize them first. And then if we have time, we'll try to touch base with everything else. So, but this is going to be a great session. Once again, I'd like to thank the guys for making it here. Adam, Colin, Corey, Frank, Glauco. Thank you guys so much for just taking time out of your schedule. I know with the crunch and getting this game out, you guys are pretty exhausted. So we thank you a great deal. So and definitely like to thank Frank. For it's 3 a.m. over there right now in Taiwan, and Frank is gracious enough to do this with us. So Frank, thank you so much. I know you haven't been sleeping much, so much appreciated.
It's all good.
So all right, so the way it's going to work, guys, and also before I forget, it's like I like to also just kind of actually Frank will probably just shout out the rest of his team. I know there's a couple of people who weren't able to make it. So once Frank starts off, whatever, he can shout out, some of the other team members that weren't able to make it for this session. So the way it's going to work, guys, is we'll just start off where everybody kind of introduce themselves and also what they worked on the game, some of the characters and some of the amazing assets they worked on. And then after that, Frank is going to be doing a presentation on how he created the hair for Nadine, one of the main characters in the game. And then from that point, we're just going to open it up to a Q&A session. Which we've already had a bunch of questions, as I said, from the audience beforehand that I'm going to be feeding to the team. All right, and then we're gonna cap it at that. So we're looking at about an hour to an hour and a half in terms of the full session. So definitely sit tight and prepare to be blown away. All right. So we'll kick it off with Frank. If you could just introduce yourself and show us some of the amazing stuff that you worked on.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Frank Tzeng. I'm the lead character artist in Naughty Dog. We just finished Uncharted 4. of course, all the credit goes to the whole company, and all the characters goes to our character team. We have me, Colin, Adam, Bianghua, Yibing, Corey, Glauco. Who else? Soa, Jae-hoon, yes. That's it, right? Did I miss anyone?
Adam Scott. Adam Scott.
No, and the other Adam Scott. All right. Okay, so there's some characters that I work on. Besides Drake, I work on Sully. I work on Nadine. I also work on Young Drake, Prison Drake, and finally the daughter. So I will be talking a little bit about my responsibility on Uncharted 4, and I will let everyone else introduce themselves and start from there. So basically,
So I guess we could. Do you want to continue, Frank, or do you want to just send it off to Adam?
all right. Go ahead, Adam.
All right, thanks, Frank.
No problem.
My name is Adam Scott, originally from Vancouver. I worked on a whole bunch of different assets for Uncharted. So Hector Alcazar, cinematic head in the prison, jumped around different NPCs, different crowd scenes, did the title screen skeleton. Are they seeing my screen right now?
Yep, we can see it.
So yeah, a bunch of different heads. A little bit of hair stuff. Yeah, so this is kind of a big mix. Been at Naughty Dog for about 3.5 years. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. All right, Colin?
Yo, can everyone see my screen?
Yep, we can see your screen.
Hey, my name is Colin, senior character artist at Naughty Dog. Worked on Sam and young Sam and.
Is his voice breaking up, or is it just me?
Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm getting that as well. We're getting the robot voice.
Not again. Okay.
Yeah. You want to just go through that? Do what you did yesterday, Colin, and we'll just go on at Corey and the rest of the guys, and then we'll come back when you're on.
Okay.
All right, buddy. All right, Corey, show's yours.
Okay, yeah, my name is Corey Johnson. I've been at Naughty Dog about 7.5 years. I started on Uncharted 2 in like a junior role, and been there ever since. From Ohio, and yeah, I can show you some of the stuff that I worked on. So this will be all single-player stuff first. Just some Pirate Captain stuff. It was mostly like high-res fixes and then texturing, and yeah, these guys were interesting because we had to get them in quick, so it was a lot of decimating, quick UV, and yeah, make that work. Skeletons, the heavy machine gunner. Worked closely with Concept on this one, going back and forth, figuring what'll work, what won't work, and then doing a lot of revisions once we started getting it into 3D. Some in-game screenshots. Worked on like random enemies and soldiers and crowd and all that stuff, and then multiplayer, which was a bit more of my focus. Worked on Tzeng. It's pretty interesting pulling up his super old assets and then reworking them and bringing them up to Uncharted 4 standard. Yeah. And then sidekicks, those were a lot of work. Each sidekick complete unique character that didn't really share much parts with anything else in the game. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, like a lot of the multiplayer stuff is there's a lot of work that goes into it. That's like behind the scenes. Yeah. But yeah, that's some of my stuff.
All right, Glauco.
Yep. So my name is Glauco Longhi. I'm a character artist at Naughty Dog, and I work for probably 1 year and a half in this game. And here's some of the. I'm originally from Brazil, and this is some of the stuff that I did. So, some single player stuff. Let me just put this full screen. One statue for the E3 demo, which ended up being like on the game after that. So I'm gonna just cycle through all the images and revamped version of Lazarevich for the multiplayer and some of his skins. Some sidekicks that I got to work with a lot of the team as well. Some single player stuff, some enemies, a bunch of different heads and NPC heads. More heads. Other multiplayer character, Ramses. Some skeletons, like Corey said, we had to work to help environment by the end of the project. Some more heads, more enemies, and some more sidekicks for multiplayer. So that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Great stuff.
Yo, can everyone hear me?
Oh yeah, much better.
Yes. Now we're good.
Now we got sexy Colin voice.
I had a mode I could just turn on, sexy Colin voice, but
Yeah.
It's always on.
yeah. So
It's always on.
All right. So, all right. Can everyone see it? Oh my God.
Yep. Looks good on our end, guys. You guys can see it.
Yep, looks good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Could everybody? Hey guys, could you just give me like a quick yes or no? Could you guys see Frank's screen? I just want to make sure. All right. It's looking
Okay.
good, Frank.
All right. So basically, the process I separated like 7 steps. First one's gathering references and plan it out. Second one is starting with the bottom base modeling and texturing creation. So basically, for this hair, later on I will show like the concept after I finish the head. We have like photo references and all that. So basically, when I decide to create this hair, I decided to separate by three to 4 layers. The base layer is basically I will show it right after. By like 7, like a cap underneath, and using bigger hair cards to do like a silhouette blackout and to kind of tricking other people to think there's hair underneath, but there's actually not a lot. But so let's start. So basically, the first one is getting references and pointed out. All these references is decided by Neil and Ashley together. So the circle part that I circle is the way that we want it or present in the game, basically. So this is basically we want the transition part from the skin to hair to have this kind of feeling. And this is like an overall feeling of the curly hair. And this shows like we want the scatter feeling when the light shining through. And this is some like flying hairs that we specifically want for Nadine. And this is kind of like the overall feeling after I finish the head. And you can see all the elements that we talk about is in this painting. So one of this painting, this painting is one of the main focus that I try to match for the final hair. So then I started by doing this. First, this is just, so this on the right side is one of my hair card alpha maps. And this is the first step, basically just start from the bottom part, base modeling and texturing creation. So you guys can see it. All this are very big, like hair cards, right? So the main point of this at this stage, it's like I don't care about the silhouette. Right now I'm trying to black out a cap basically surrounding like the hair part, and the important part at this part is all the cards need to like side by side, kind of overlapping a little bit, so people won't be able to see it, the skull inside. And the second part is this, and the second part I use all this alphas, so I circled out as well. So basically this is like the middle part. So I'm just adding cards. So right now we don't have any geometry like the actual curly geometry, because all you guys all know that her hair is very curly, but we don't have the budget of polycounts to using that kind of curly hair cards all over the place. So from the beginning, we have to save a lot of polycounts for me to kind of tricking other people. So basically all this is 2D cards. And after, when I layered it out to like third layer, fourth layer, I was starting adding the geometry, curly geometry, to kind of tricking people. When the model is turning, people will think all the cards is kind of 3D, like geometry, but it's actually not. So adding the next step, adding more layers and using the same medium hair cards, medium size of hair cards. And so this one and this one is similar, but at this one I'm starting kind of paying attention of how the silhouette looks overall, basically, and the value of the hair, like the height and all that stuff. All right, so next one is creating like curly geos. All right, so you can see from this part to this part, I'm adding a lot of curly geos, but as you guys can see, a lot of it is adding to kind of breaking up the silhouette. So basically, when I turning the head, there will be one angle people will be able to see this kind of silhouette or the model. So people will know that this is all kind of 3D and curly hair geometry. And this part is we adding like flying hairs, and this is another hair card maps already. So basically two hair maps for Nadine on this one, and this is for flying cards over here, and adding more geometry, curly geometry as well. So you can see the difference between step 4th and 5th here. And the last part will be the transition hairs, and they're done using all these hair cards. All right, so then we have the final over here, and I remember I cannot give you guys the final poly count. It's not because we can't, because I don't really remember. I think it's around 13,000. So it's around that. Like 12,000 to 13,000 tries. And this is kind of showing the steps that I did from in-game view of angle. So this is kind of just a blackout stage, and adding more medium hair cards, and adding geometries. And here you can see a lot of it can kind of tricking people thinking this is all like curly geometry, but it's actually not. And the final will be something like this. This will be final. All this kind of very thin This is all the flying hairs. And this is just some beauty shots. So finally, I'm going to show just like a video. Just a second. Let me run the video. And the video basically shows the in-game knitting. Okay. All right, I can show this one first. Oh my God. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, loud and clear. We can see your screen. You're still on the PowerPoint.
Oh, I'm still on PowerPoint? It's weird.
Yep.
I opened it just now.
Is it in the other screen or?
Maybe it is. Let me double check.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Not a problem, buddy.
Okay, it's over here. All right. It is.
There you go. Yep.
All right. So this is just our in-game Nadine, and this shows Nadine's outfit and all that.
Beautiful.
But the things that I want to show is the final movement of the hair that we created. So this is when I'm moving with the normal speed. So you can see all the details of the hair, but as I'm moving faster, we will get some hair movement, the cloth system that we have for the hairs.
So cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's amazing the volume you're able to get with all of that.
Yeah, and this is all in game with nothing added. So like you can see like the wrinkle map and all the details, those are all in game. In this mode, people can actually see the final resolution that we use in game, and what do you see? It's what we have in game. Nothing added after.
So this is not like the cinematic version.
No, well, the cinematic version is in game.
Is
like
in-game,
our
so it's
game
all
is
one the
all
same.
real time, so the cinematic version is just more high poly, but still in game and
Yeah.
just running smoothly on 30 frames per second. So yeah, so that's my small tutorials about how I create Nathan's hair. Well, hopefully it helps some people out there who has question about the hair.
No, dude, that's
all
great.
right.
Thank you so much, Frank. So, on the subject of, just Nadine's hair and just the hair workflow you guys are doing in general. So how are you creating this? Are you using a software, to place the cards, to get that initial generation?
Well, we do have an in-house hair system that basically, so there's few ways that we can create the hair cards. One is by hand painting, which you guys can see a lot of this kind of flying hair. They're just hand painted. The other one, which is created by, basically we have an in-house hair tool. We can basically draw splines in Maya, like a flat. And then after that, after we draw all the splines, it bakes out all the maps for us. Bake out normal map, ID map, color map as well. There's a lot of people involving with this kind of creation and giving feedback. Basically, the whole character team and also our rigging team. Tyler is the one who did this tool, I believe. So yeah, we have a hair tool just in Naughty Dog that we can use to create this kind of hair.
We should clarify that the hair tool is more for texture creation, like of the hair strands, and not and not the actual cards themselves.
Oh yeah. Not for the
Yeah.
actual cards.
So yeah, that's what
So the cards is all basically hand placed.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was asking specifically. I'm sorry I didn't clarify that. So yeah, in terms of like just the initial generation of cards, so that's all hand placed, correct?
Yeah, it's hand placed, and you can see it's from like the very least one, and then keep going, keep adding until the end. So yeah, it's all hand placed.
Cool. And how many cards? I know you gave us the poly count roughly, but of 13,000. But how many cards do you think that you end up with at the end?
That's it. That's the number.
Oh no, 13,000 cards?
No, 30,000 polys.
Polys. I mean, how many like planes were you using? Like, is that 100, 200? Like
that I don't know.
It's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You weren't keeping count.
No, I wasn't.
I think Glauco knows.
Yeah.
Glauco, how many?
How many? Last time I count, it was like 2,533.
Glauco just has. That's what he does. He counts assets.
If anyone out there go over that budget, the game engine just explodes. Pretty much.
Colin, robot voice again.
Oh no.
So Frank, having so much experience, and I know most of you guys have a lot of experience with hair. I'll kind of just, ask a couple of, you guys to kind of chime in on this. What is your best practice for creating hair that you found? I mean, if you're doing this all by hand, it's a very meticulous, involved process. Is there any little tips and tricks or workflows that you develop, that kind of help speed things up?
Yes. Anyone want to hear me?
Go for it.
Yeah. Sexy Colin back.
Yeah. So. No. I know for me, early on doing some hair stuff, one thing that helped was to get all your textures laid out first and placed on the cards, and so you can easily pick which one you want to place at any given time. Also, one thing that I did was, it's weird, but I don't know if it's weird, but it's centering the pivot on the card and then putting the pivot at the base of any card. So if you have a card going from top to bottom, I'll put the pivot point at the bottom so that when you snap it to the head, it's just a matter of making the mesh live, the head mesh live, and then snapping directly to that, and it's easy to just quickly place the cards and rotate, and it'll always rotate from the pivot of that. That's just if you're doing it manually. If you guys have some hair tool out there that we don't know about, good for you.
Yeah, please let us know.
Yes.
What about you, Adam? Any tips as it relates to generating the hair?
Yeah. I think don't feel bad about having to start from the beginning. Hair is really tough because it's not like you can start with some broad shapes and then kind of keep refining, and then finally get it. And sometimes you have to redo your texture sheet or add new hairs. They don't fit in your UV slot. So there's a lot of kind of trial and error at the beginning until you get the general look that you're looking for. But sometimes you make some transparency sticker cards and you're using some way more than you're using other ones, but you need some space for some future ones. I think just don't feel don't start yourself from starting from scratch again if you're going the wrong direction.
Cool.
Yeah, I would just like to add, like, the thickness of the hair strings are super important. So usually people miss that. So they do, like, for example, a mustache with like super thin hairs, or like super thick as well. So just pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Cool. That makes sense.
There's one kind of trick that I'm doing for Nadine's hair. It's like, I think plan it out first. It's one of the most important part. How do I do that? Basically, I study all the references and kind of plan it out. Okay, so I have several. I need to have several this kind of different type of median size of hair, and how many types that I need to have for the big type of the hair, which is covered underneath Nadine's hair, and flying hair. I need to have how many variations. Like if you can plan this out first, it will be way easier for you to do like layer by layer, step by step.
Cool. No, that's great. Anything you'd like to add, Corey? Or is it pretty much covered?
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers all of it. I don't really have anything else to add for hair.
No, it's all good. Frank, was there a specific shader you guys utilize for that? I know that Yibing was primarily involved for a lot of the shader work.
Oh yeah. Shader, it's very important for our character pipeline, and Yibing is a big reason of all our character shaders look that good. So shading artists in Naughty Dog, basically, we as a character modeler, we do all the modeling, texturing, and all that, but she basically take everything and kind of take all the shaders to the next level. She can do she have art background and she can do coding as well. So she is basically a bridge between us artists and the programmers. So basically communicates with programmers, and if we want any features or we have opinions or about how to improve the shaders and all that, we just give her feedback and she just think of a way to make it happen. So yes, there's a lot of hard work that goes in for Yibing on especially hairs. One of it we all know is basically we have a map called shadow map. So basically the reason for this shadow map is because in game our shadow resolution is not always up to the quality that we want. If we don't have high-res shadow for in-game hair, and the in-game hair will just kind of look flat. They won't have like the shadows in between the hair cards and all that stuff. So Yibing kind of created this method we call it a shadow map, basically using Maya. So basically all the hair cards that we just laid it out, like automatic layout, UV layout in Maya. I don't have any example right now to show you like what's the UV looks like, but it's just basically automatic UV for each hair cards. And then we have 5 lights in Maya. We have 5 lights under the top of the hair that we finally bake it into. So basically this way every single hair card have casting shadows on the hair cards underneath. So we call this method hair shadow map. And unfortunately, this kind of method needs a lot of hand tweaking and overpaint after, but the result helped a lot of our hair in game. So
Cool.
Yes.
No, that's great.
Anyone want to add on the top of it? Colin?
Nope.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So how much texture space does the hair take up in total?
How many texture space, like texture resolutions?
Yeah.
For NPC, we ended up, Corey and Adam and Glauco knows better than this. I think it's around 512, but sometimes I think it's lower. Right?
Yeah. For anything in MP, it's the roll of it is as low as possible. So some things get down to like 256 where we can do it. Sometimes 128 on maps. Just if you don't see a big difference, then we optimize it.
How about single player NPC?
It's probably
Adam?
like
I think it jumps between 512 and I think normal map.
Oh, I thought we were talking about hairs.
For the hair, right?
Oh, the hair only.
I think it's 512 to 1K.
It couldn't have been higher than 512, I don't think, unless it's like a hero
I think
NPC.
512 for the hair.
I think it was 512 for the alpha and like 256 for the color map, something like that.
Yeah. But for main character, it's 1K basically for normal map, and all the maps basically. There's a lot of maps that is just under 1K, it's like 512.
Okay, cool. All right, great. So, all right, so we're going to just keep it moving, and now we'll just kind of introduce some more general questions. So, if you guys could just list the different softwares that were utilized for the character, creation, the character production aspect of things.
Colin used Mudbox.
Oh my god.
Autodesk is going to send Colin a gift basket or
Please.
something right now.
Send me as many things as possible, Autodesk.
No. I was kidding, but Colin used basically everything.
Yeah.
He used ZBrush as well.
So let's just list some of the different software. So obviously you guys are using Maya, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Maya, ZBrush, Mudbox. What else?
Substance
Max.
Design, Max. Yeah, some people are using Max.
Substance Painter.
Substance Painter. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Painter's the big one right now.
Yeah.
Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kidding.
What was that?
What was that, Colin? What was that?
Just kidding. No, yeah, we
I was going to say, I've never heard of that software. It might be a new one.
what else?
Topogun.
Oh, Yibing sometimes use Mari.
Oh my god, that's true. Marvelous designer.
Yeah, Marvelous designer.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Had a CV layout.
Oh, Hadis, yes.
So a little bit of everything then.
Yep.
Right on.
Whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. And what would you say is the average poly count for each character?
Whoa. Main character or NPC?
Let's go with
there's
both.
a pretty big difference.
Let's go with both. Like, how much are the main characters and how much are the NPCs?
Colin, do you remember Sam's?
I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't. But
You don't?
it's high.
Yes, I don't know the exactly number, but I think
That sounds like a job for Glauco.
Oh yeah, Glauco. How
I
much?
don't know.
Poly count.
I know they had like
Just make up something.
Yeah, I know the head, but like everything, I think Drake is around 90,000.
Wow.
Yeah, in the end. Yeah,
That's
Drake is around 90,000 everything together.
Wow. 90,
It's like 50% hair.
Yeah, but that's the high. That's the yes. That's the basically lot zero. So that's a cinematic model. But whenever people play in game, when they see Drake, it's around like a third of that poly count.
Yeah, it drops to the next log or 2 logs down or something.
Yes.
Speaking of lots, how many lots do you guys have? How many LODs do you guys have per character?
Depending on the characters.
Yeah, I think Drake's only 3, right, Frank?
No. I think in the end we got 4 or 5.
Mm.
Yeah. No. You're right. So if it's like 0, 1, 2, 3, yeah, then it's 4, right? Kind of.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. So
Okay.
0, 1, 2, 3,
So
basically.
four LODs for Drake.
Yeah, because he's never going to too far away. Like, yeah. But other people we have like 5, 6.
Okay. And how long would you say it takes, to create some of these characters? If everybody could kind of say, it's like the characters that they worked on, how long it took for them to create.
It's a hard one to say because
It is a very hard one.
in production things change a lot, and for us we definitely had a lot of feedback and revisions and changes and stuff like that. So I mean, for me, I know it's a bit hard to nail down that number because it felt like a pretty long time.
Now, so let's switch
steps?
it. Let's just say if you were just creating this character now, like just creating that for your own personal, like I'm looking at the character right now, Sam, Drake's brother, how long would that character take you?
Oh man.
Are we talking about a month, or are we talking about 2 months?
Yeah, I would say about 2 months.
2 months? Okay. Would everybody say that's a good average time frame to create a character at the caliber you guys did for Uncharted? About 2 months?
Because, well, It's hard because we usually separated like all different outfits, and we separate the hair, we separate the head. So all this asset like parts takes time. So we don't really say that like how many times to create the whole character, because we never kind of created from the beginning to the end. Like
Yeah, and
you
you
know,
have to put it in game, and then someone plays with it and come back and say, no, this needs changing, and so I don't know, it's just a hard thing for me to nail down personally, but
Yeah.
yeah.
other guys can chime in and see what do you think about.
I think for NPC it's easier to have this kind of time calculated. Main character it is very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like they say go until it looks its best or whatever. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just,
for example, I remember the 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before the game ship, I was still changing Nadine. So it's like like it's never ending
Yeah.
unless
So like
we
2 years. 2 years per character, roughly.
until we ship the game.
Exactly.
it is more reality.
Yeah, no, definitely. So Corey, how much freedom would you say you had in terms of the some of the NPC characters on Uncharted?
With single player, it's pretty locked down, similar to the main characters, because designers are trying, they want to convey certain things with the characters. So those are the same process. You get concept, it gets approved, we make it, revisions. It's a much quicker process to it being done. Like main characters are like almost never done.
Yeah.
If there's something that's gonna make them better, then it gets put in.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, for multiplayer, it was pretty much do whatever I want until someone says that's too crazy, and then we'll hold off on it for a little bit and then try to get back to it. Yeah, but I mean, like it's the multiplayer is the same thing. I worked pretty closely with Richard Lyons and just figuring out what would be cool stuff for people in multiplayer, because that's where we really get to just like do crazy things that they have no effect on the narrative of the single player. So that's where we get to explore a lot more things.
Okay, cool. And just kind of still keeping as it relates to just the time frame. How much research went into creating some of these characters? It's like, we'll start off with you, Glauco. Like, how much research on your end went into creating these characters?
So pretty much we got everything, all the reference from concept art, and then sometimes we would have to dive into the internet a little bit more to get a little bit more references for specific details. But they were always there to help us as well. So I don't think I spent a lot of time researching, at least as far as like NPCs and multiplayer characters go. But yeah, that's pretty much like a day or two or just a few hours, because we got everything pretty much nailed down before we get to start those.
Okay, cool. And Corey, Adam, Frank, open it up to you guys as well. It's like same question. Like, how much research went into creating the characters you guys worked on?
Yeah, Glauco nailed it. The concept team is really good for giving us enough reference for us.
Yeah.
But there was some stuff that was a little bit vague, which gave us a little bit more creativity on our side, especially for the multiplayer. But things that were more for single player that needed like a very strict guide, we had to work super tight with the concept and like really try and finalize what they're looking for from Neil Druckmann.
Okay, cool. And obviously, there's a lot of 2D design development for starting on a 3D character. So was there any characters where you didn't have as much, you didn't have as much reference, and it was kind of like, hey, this is a basic artwork, but just kind of go with it?
Well, yes, for this question. For example, a lot of legacy characters, we don't really, or at least me, I don't really have like a concept to go from the beginning. For example, Sully. So it's basically just the sculptor, the modelers, just it was me and taking like a pass, trying to kind of age it properly. and work really closely with the concept artist. In this case is Ashley, and then working very closely with Neil Druckmann for the direction of Sully's face. So yeah, some characters, especially legacy characters, just basically just character artists taking a pass and start from there. We do have sometimes pan over from, for example, I would do one pass, and Neil will give feedback, and then if it is easier, character concept artists will just take one of the screenshot and starting paint over on the top of it, and then I will just take another pass after until it gets done, finish.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And so, do you guys work a lot with the technical animation team, like rigging and dynamics, as it relates to how you guys model your characters and some of the approach? Are there any restrictions as it relates to making sure everything deforms correctly and all that? How does that work, that relationship?
I
I think. Go ahead. I was like.
Colin.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I think our riggers are pretty awesome. So for me, it was you can basically throw anything at them and they'll rig it. They'll be able to get it in. But obviously, for any character, there are at any time specific guidelines that you have to follow. Certain mesh being too close to each other and stuff like that. I know they brought up was was an issue. So keeping things, if we had a strap on top of the shirt or something, needed to levitate off the surface at a certain distance for them to be able to do it. Other than that, they didn't really give us much quarrel over meshes and stuff like that. They're pretty
cool. No,
Adam,
that's great.
Adam, do you have anything? Because Adam basically is a half rigger in our team.
No, yeah, they were really good. I think there's some early concepts, like even now as we're creating some DLC content that we do check with them.
Mm-hmm.
Some stuff it's mostly some cloth stuff and how much they can actually push with their cloth. But yeah, they've been really good, and we have some really cool rig setups that they've created and really good skin transfer tools that make it a little bit faster. It's really having a dedicated rigger team.
Cool.
Yep, agree.
Cool. And so the level of characters you guys have created for this game, in my opinion, is the best out right now, right? In terms of just quality, you guys really took that bar to a whole new level. So I mean, and how do you maintain consistency throughout a lot of these characters? Is there, you guys sharing assets? Like what's that process like? How do you guys maintain that consistency, at the same level and making sure they all belong and fit in the same world?
Yeah. I can answer the first part of this. So
yeah, definitely.
I mentioned a while back that one of the things that really helped was Yibing and the shader process in general, because we had the shaders pre-made, so stuff like cloth and different types of fabric and leather and all these things. So once we had the model, putting those shaders on keep things consistent just in their nature. So it was pretty easy in that sense to just put the shader on, tell it what fabric to be, and we would all get a similar result in game. It doesn't matter if it was single player or multiplayer. You kind of got this similar result depending on the shaders and stuff that you put on. So that was one of it.
Cool. The other one I can say is I can say this for main characters. Basically, how we keep everything consistent for main characters, whenever we're doing something, for example, Drake is the first being done as the main character, and then Drake's brother, and then I think Nadine, Elena was done about the same time, but whenever the character artists taking the pass or are doing one main character, we always compare them together side by side, just like ahead. So we're making sure in this way, basically keeping the consistency of how the character looks. Do they look belong to like the same in the same game, and everyone contribute to this because whenever we have like I call this like main character lineup, and everyone will just come to my desk, and I will basically ask everyone, oh, what do you think about Nadine? What do you think about Rafe? What do you think about Sully? Is there anyone jumping out that kind of don't belong into the game? We ask this kind of question a lot during the process of creating these main characters.
Yep, that's true.
Cool. And are you guys sharing, common assets amongst, the different characters?
But we definitely share techniques, and if one guy figured out something, they'll pretty good usually about sharing amongst each other and stuff like that. So.
Okay.
Well, the head mesh is basically head and arms and legs. Basically, it's all the same. So we use this. So it's the same UV. For the head, it's the most important thing because then we can transfer all the blend shapes, sometimes using the same wrinkle maps and all that, and detail maps as well. So there's a lot of benefit using the same head typology for the entire game.
Okay, cool. And kind of just touching upon the hair again. I don't know if we answered this, but were you using flow maps for the hair, Frank?
What map?
Flow maps?
I don't think we have flow maps for the hair.
We had,
Okay.
sorry, we had something that was kind of similar. It's a per strand ID map, which gave it like a shift of the specular per strand, and that was based on like an up to down in the tear sheet. So all of our hair had to be UV the same way to allow that direction of that flow. But that was the limit of that. We didn't actually have like a full-on flow map.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so bringing all these characters together, let's talk about some of the tools or some of the workflow you guys implemented for this. So for creating these hair, I know we mentioned that you guys utilize some scanning. What was the workflow for that like? Frank or Adam?
No, Adam, go ahead.
All right.
So normally try and find someone. We had an in-house scanner. It was kind of the size of like a clothing iron. We had a small little room where we can bring people in, scan them. So mostly it was done for clothing. We have a lot of like just real-world clothing that they had in the game, and so we looked around the studio trying to find something similar. If not, we had someone like a costume designer who'd grab all the clothing for us based off the concept we're done up, and try and match that, and then we bring that in there and we scan it. So we have a little turntable that we picked up, and the scanner gets it as like a pretty rough high poly. It's almost like a rough high poly sculpt that you would see in Z that we have as an OBJ, and then we bring that into ZBrush. We clean it up to make sure that it lines up properly. Line that up with our base mesh, which is normally like Drake's proportions, and then trim off like the extra bits. If you're just doing, say if you're doing like a jacket, we trim off the hands, trim off the neck and the legs, and then from that torso, we retopo that thing, and then we also do a refinement pass on the high poly because we lose a lot of details doing the scan, and then project that back on, and then just kind of work from there.
Okay, cool. And this was for both faces as well as clothing?
Face, not so much. Yeah. Basically, it's for the clothing. Face, we try not to use photo scans for main characters or actor facial scans for the main characters, because we always want to keep that artistic feelings for the sculpting of our main character. So, but mainly we're doing this for the clothing pipeline that we have.
Okay. Okay.
There's one NPC that I scanned here. This is a guy in our studio, Icky.
Icky.
So to get this guy in the game, super fortunate they had no hair. It makes it so much easier to scan.
Oh yeah, exactly.
The process, normally people do want to get scans. It's kind of fun being in the game, and so I had them in there. We scanned them in the morning. Then we lined up the high poly sculpt to the base mesh. So we had to line up the eyes, the rest of the shape, with any hairs if we were to do any hair swaps. And then the low poly, we just project the high res sculpt onto our low poly base mesh, which was Drake's low poly, which is the first subdivision in ZBrush. And then we can slap on some basic pictures and then throw them in the game. So I had like a little prototype of Icky running around in the auction that day. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, talking about scanning just tech in general, obviously scanning is becoming more and more prevalent in our industry, and there is a lot of questions, as it relates to that. So, with the rise of photogrammetry and 3D scanning, how do you guys see the role of, a character artist, evolving over time? And this is a question that I would, ask the team. We could just start off with Glauco.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna change a lot. I think it speed up the process, but like having the ability to sculpt the head from scratch is essential to understand the forms and also like tweak the forms. So I just see like a faster way to achieve good results, but I don't think it's gonna substitute or take away all the character artist's role. And I think it's also helps a lot to have a scan and to kind of understand the forms to study. So I think it's just adding. It's not like taking away.
Yeah.
I think it's just making our workflow a bit faster, and if we have a photo scan, basically give us like a really good base. We see it that way, a really good base to start with. So it's just basically faster our processing.
Completely agree. Corey?
Yeah, I mean, scanning's been just amazing. The amount of content we can produce because of it is quite incredible. And then with that, sometimes there are things you just can't scan, like really shiny things. Just they won't scan well. So that's
like hair, leather, all that stuff. It's really hard to scan.
Yeah, and that's where like Marvelous will come in, and we can do stuff in there, and yeah.
Cool. And Colin, you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if we didn't have scanning, we'd be there a lot later. So
I don't think we can finish our project without scanning.
Yeah, it's one of those production things where it's like you got to separate being a, as I mentioned, like being an artist and a production artist, and while you're there, using scans definitely speed things up a lot to get a whole cast of characters and single player, multiplayer, and all these different NPCs and stuff like that created. So if everyone were to sculpt that by hand, it would either take a lot of people or a lot of time. So
yeah, no, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and talking about just some of the tools you guys utilize in your arsenal to create these amazing characters. Corey, could you talk a little bit about how Marvelous was involved in that process as well? I know it was very limited, but if you could talk on that.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's things like scars and stuff like that. Like it's basically just a rectangle that's twisted around a bunch and all that. Trying to scan that and then clean it up is pretty annoying. So we definitely use Marvelous for that. Yeah, I mean it really just comes down to like anything we couldn't scan, try to do it in Marvelous first. If not that, then we just start it from scratch. Yeah,
Yep.
but it's an amazing tool. I mean, it's a little weird feeling like you're a seamstress, but whatever. If that's what it takes to get stuff done, then that's fine.
And if this 3D thing doesn't work out long term, you have another career option.
Yeah, the only problem is, the way I end up using Marvelous, I try to be in there as little as possible. So I'll get a somewhat good result and then throw it in ZBrush and fix whatever's wrong much faster than if I stayed in Marvelous and like noodled around and tried to get things to line up perfect. Like there's no reason to like waste your time doing that if you can just throw it in ZBrush, fix it in 5 minutes, and move forward.
Yeah. Nope, that makes sense. And Colin, it's like I know you're obviously it's like pretty huge when it comes to marvelous designer.
Yeah.
With Tries and Folds. It's like, any comment on that?
I know we did a lot of stuff with it early on, with regards to Drake initial clothing. Like it was something that I was trying to prototype and use for the rest of the game, overall. But we ended up just needing to go in production, just make stuff, and so the scanning came in, and we just ended up going with that because it was much faster. Just get stuff in. We didn't have like any library pre-made ahead of time or anything with regard to Marvelous stuff, so it wasn't beneficial at the time for production. So it was much faster to just use scans, and again, if you needed something that couldn't be made regularly, then that's when we would use it, but or couldn't be scanned, I should say. But yeah, but
Cool.
I just used it initially on Drake's initial outfit. Yeah. So.
And how were you guys adding wrinkles to, because if you were scanning these, a lot of this cloth, obviously you had predefined wrinkles in there. It's like, were you guys going in and smoothing those out and then adding, wrinkles to the different?
So for the wrinkles, basically before we scan, we hand tweak the wrinkle to be exactly what we wanted. That's the one of the very important part. Before we scan, we always hand tweak the wrinkles. We pay attention to where we don't want the wrinkles and where we do want the wrinkles and all that stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes complete sense.
I know.
But we still need to tweak after, depending on sometimes our direction will be different. Sometimes ended up the scan when we put it in game, it doesn't look as good as we think. Then we need to hand tweak it after.
Okay, cool. No.
I think add in on that one. I think it depends on if the character has a full map blend for the wrinkle pattern. If it's just an NPC character, you want a natural looking wrinkle on the entire back. But if it's a main character, you want something that's able to blend around a little bit. Just something that works for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you guys weren't using, any of the simulations within Marvelous for key poses or anything, and then kind of baking that out. That wasn't a part of the workflow, correct?
No, that wasn't.
Okay.
It probably would have been if we weren't using the scanner as much, if we relied on Marvelous.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so,
if we keep every outfit as the same UV, that would be very beneficial. But we didn't.
Okay. And we're talking about all the scanning and stuff. Glauco, would you recommend an aspiring artist learn how to work with scans in order to, to get a job, as a character artist, or?
I would definitely recommend getting a scan and just playing around, but make sure you can sculpt things by hand as well, because like cleaning up scans is way easier than sculpting like fold from scratch. So for studying purpose, I would keep myself studying wrinkles from scratch, and then when you get the chance, when you have to do the work, you can do that faster and like easier. So, but it's definitely a good thing to get a scan and to see how the folds react and stuff.
Okay. Cool. No, that's great. And so let's talk about just, we're talking about scanning,
I have one thing to add to that, sorry.
Oh, please, go ahead, Frank.
Okay, so basically what I think is, I don't think people need to focus on basically to get every wrinkle photorealistic, but you still need to be able to sculpt your own wrinkles. For example, I have, if people can see my screen over here,
Yep.
I have, for this, let's see, this. All right. So this is like a scan of Nadine's outfit that we did it in one day, basically. But looking at this, like pants, just look at the pants. In the end, the pants look like this. All right. So there's a lot of hand sculpting after, based on the tweaking of the direction of the art, which is Neil, how Neil wants. And there's a lot of tweaking after. So I think the character artists need to be able to sculpting the wrinkles, but I don't think it needs to be like all photorealistic. Just spend like 1 or 2 months just study wrinkles. I don't think you need to do that, but still need to understand the wrinkle flows and how to sculpt the wrinkles.
No, and I completely agree. And the question I was going to ask kind of ties in with that. You know, the uncanny valley, right? Like, how do you guys? Because you got you know, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and there's a lot of questions about how realistic the characters look. I actually don't think the characters look realistic necessarily, right? It's like, you know, you guys have it's still art is still pushed artistically. It's like, you know, there's still a design to it. How do you guys work with that? You know, how do you guys kind of balance that, you know, from it not looking creepy, right?
Colin?
How do you avoid the uncanny valley with what you guys created?
Yeah, sorry about that. So one of the things I know that we did was obviously, you know, once we have the concept art, I think it's usually, I don't think Uncharted stuff is very photoreal. I think we have photoreal shaders and stuff like that, but in general the sculpts are pretty stylized to a certain degree. So
I totally agree.
Yeah, making sure they have certain shapes chiseled in, and not too smooth to give it that, like, I don't know, scan feel or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's yeah, I just think it's, for me, it's just I don't know, it's hard to explain, but for me it's just chiseling in the character in there, based off concept and reference and stuff like that, and pulling certain things from different people, and you know. It's also aesthetic. I think it's putting some shapes that you find cool or I don't know how to best explain that, but it's like shapes that you think is cool. I don't know. You know, it's not, you know, stuff like on the nose bridge. You know, being able to make it look like it's broken, or certain things that you, when you put it in, it almost like it feels sculpted as opposed to being something derived from a scan or something. You know what I mean? Like it has some characteristic to it, I think.
No, I think that makes complete sense. And speaking of you know, of kind of just, you know, adding some of these details, it's like, could you explain the process of aging this character? Because you did such a great job. You know, it's like in taking him from, like, you know, a young teenager to a much older middle age, you know, man. So could you talk a little bit about that process? Anything that you discovered along the way?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of feedback from people, obviously, but it was definitely putting them beside each other and trying to, see what I can take from one character, from one version to the other. So, for example, I know I shared stuff like the texture map between the older Sam and the younger Sam, but I would take out some of the you know, the things that you would see in an older person. So I would take out some of the, you know, pores and deeper pores, and even in the normal map, the wrinkles, in the normal map you can tell, like, the wrinkles here, they're hinted at, but they're not as strong and prominent as this one. Doing a blend shape between the very young version and the older version to get a midpoint for the middle-aged version, and then working on top of that, or that really helped for sure. So sharing textures, stuff like the eyes, you know, eyebrows, and certain facial features and stuff like that really help to pinpoint, get the aging to look as if it's the same character. That was the process for, like, all the aging that we did on even young Drake as well, and stuff like that.
Cool. And what's your process for creating some of the textures? Could you talk a little bit about that, Glauco, and we'll kind of go down the line for everybody else. But what's your process? I know you guys have a couple of different softwares you guys utilize. It's kind of open. You've mentioned Mari, you mentioned Substance, you mentioned just Photoshop. So
yeah, I think everyone has their own way of doing head textures, but definitely for the clothing and all the accessories, by the end of the project, pretty much all of us were using Substance Painter because it was super easy to reuse stuff and also, like, to create textures. And my way of doing head textures was pretty much straightforward in Mudbox, and also a little bit of Substance Painter.
Yep.
Cool. So you use a Substance quite a bit in your workflow.
Yeah, I do use a lot of Substance.
Cool. Frank?
Yo.
What's kind of your workflow when it comes to texturing some of these
Well,
characters?
okay, so in the end, I was using Substance. These guys made me to. Especially, okay,
We made it.
especially Glauco and Adam. These two guys keep pushing Substance painters to the whole team. Because one thing that I don't really want to do is changing the main pipeline that we have for our workflow, character workflow during the game. I think it will be hard for people to learning the new software in between, especially during the crunch. So I didn't force anyone to like. So we have to do this, but I did try that out, and after I used that, I just keep using that after because it really makes our workflow way faster. There's a lot of stuff. If we layered it good, we can reuse all the layers right after. Those are all the team teach me that, so credits for them.
Right on.
I know we had a lot of like masks, dirt masks, and mud and stuff like that would start out with and share amongst each other and stuff like that.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Good point, Colin.
Cool. And Corey, Adam.
Yeah. I mean, Substance Painter is absolutely amazing. So if you're not using it for characters, I highly recommend getting it. Designer's good, but it's a lot more technical because it's node-based. But yeah, I mean, those programs are amazing. And like Glauco was saying, by the end of the project, it got to the point where you like throw a character in, do like 5 steps, and then you like, there you go, move on. So
yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Yeah, Painter made texturing such a small part of the whole process now. Like it's pretty much just based off your high res sculpt, and then make sure you get a nice low poly with UVs, and then your texturing is just so fast now in Painter. So, like with our color textures are actually pretty flat because we have like physically based shaders right now, and so we have an AO map that is separate, and then we're starting to do some edge wear and stuff depending on what kind of asset it is, but I use it for a lot of like just noise breakup, like for the skin on Hector here. There's just a lot of different layers with different procedurals, just getting a nice breakup in the skin, and then just hand painting areas where I need it for around the eyes and all that, and the lips.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I know the answer to this, but I just want everybody I want you guys to answer it, which is there's a few people asking, are you guys using photo sourcing for the textures?
Not that I'm aware of.
Nope.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I know you guys pride yourselves on hand painting a lot, most of your textures, so as it relates to a lot of the face work, so.
Yeah, I mean, like the important thing with if you're using a photo texture, you're most likely fighting against all the hard work you did in your sculpt, so it's better to bring out, like, accentuate what you did in the high res than if you had like a photo of skin pores on top of skin. Like it's not going to line up with what you got, and it can lead to a lot of problems.
Cool. Yeah. And everybody would agree on that.
I think that adds to the the look that you see in the final thing, right? Like it makes it not seem so photoreal to the point where it's uncanny. And it gives some kind of art, or I don't know how to best explain it, but it gives some kind of artist input into what this looks like. Yeah.
I think that's probably what contributes to the overall look of the game being so amazing, but at the same time not looking photorealistic, right?
Yeah. So just let everyone know that there's one trick that we did in the color map to do skin pore detail. Basically, we have our high poly sculpting ZBrush, and we will bake out the normal map and then convert it into like a high map, and then kind of overlaid on the top of our color map to kind of getting that, and color it after, so kind of getting that skin pore detail on the top of our head texture color, and in that way, all the high poly, all the skin pore will kind of match exactly of your high poly sculpting.
Very lightly, though, very lightly.
Cool. So we're getting towards the end of the session, and we're going to shift it now to questions, about aspiring artists, right? So, so the first question is, what's your opinion on the perception of that you should work as an environment artist before working as a character artist, or get a start as an environment or prop artist, and then slowly move into characters.
And this can be, I guess everyone can take a jab at this, but I think for me personally, if you want to be a character artist, I would say just go for being a character artist and work as hard as possible and try to do that. Sure, I think it's possible to break in from other fields as well, but I mean, if you're doing environment stuff mostly, you're probably not going to be doing a lot of character stuff. And if you focus on one, you can, you would get more out of doing that than trying to do both, I guess. I don't know, but I mean, I guess it's been done before that people have jumped ship.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I share something?
Please.
I don't know if this guy knows that, but I am one of example. When I got hired in Sony San Diego, the first project that I work on in Sony San Diego it's called Puppeteer, and I was hired as an environment artist, like doing props and all that.
How dare you?
Traitor.
Well, it is because, okay, so Sony San Diego is kind of a big outsourcing company, and so their project, they got project, it's project by project. So at that time, it's either I will wait for the next project, which has character for me to work on, or I just jump in first, starting from whatever project they throw me on. So I choose just go into the company first. Whatever they throw at me, I will just finish. But to me, if you can do character, in my opinion, you can definitely do props or anything else.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Does everybody echo that?
Yeah. I agree with that. But it depends also on the reality that you're living. So, for example, myself, I started like around 10 years ago, and that time in Brazil there was like no video game big companies. It still there isn't. But I had to start working, and then I started working for doing advertising, and pretty much everything that I was doing was props and environments and that kind of stuff. But I was also studying characters on the side and like on all my free time. So it's
I totally
of course
agree,
it's
yes.
better if you want to do characters, just focus on doing characters. Maybe you cannot do that for a living right now, but maybe you still have to do something for a living. So just do whatever you want, and then you can also keep pushing yourself until you get that gig.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah, and if there is somewhere you want to work, look at their games and make some stuff like what they have, right? Because in the end, that's who they want, is people who can do what they do. That's very important.
Targeting your goal for your career, that's a very important step.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Exactly.
And does Naughty Dog still do tests? Like they still require a lot of their artists, applying to do tests?
We do. Everyone needs to take a test.
I think it's everyone. Like
Everyone.
no matter
Everyone. No matter how famous you are, you need to take the test.
Yes.
Right on. So we have a question for Glauco, and I know Glauco, you mentioned, how your early transition into working as a character artist, but this is from one of your Brazilian countrymen, Eduardo, who's asking, how do you make that shift? Right now he's currently working as a product designer, but he wants to transition to the game industry. Is there any tips you have for how to transition and working in the American industry or American game industry?
I think the big thing to come to America is the visa, and that's there's like the trickiest part for us that work abroad or live abroad, and it really comes down to a company wants to hire you because they like your stuff and because they need you. So I would say you gotta focus on keep building up your portfolio and making sure you are developing your skills and matching like what the company needs, and just keep applying and keep like the space up. There's not much you can do after that, right? You just like gotta keep believing that you can do it and keep pushing, because you cannot come here even for work for free. You cannot come just to learn. You have to be under a visa, and there are like basically two types of visa, and both of them requires a company to sponsor you. So it's tricky, but it's not impossible.
Okay, cool. Um, should one's portfolio show the ability to create different styles, or do you think realism is the focal point, and just showing that on your demo reel?
But that depending on the the company that you want to apply, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think personally in a portfolio, me personally, I would like to see a range of styles, mostly because you never know when in production something, they'll throw something at you. I mean, more likely they're already set in a certain style for any given game. But as an artist, I think it's beneficial because it keeps you versatile. You know what I mean? And being able to do anything is something I'm all about. So I would like to see that. I don't know.
Okay.
If we're
What do you guys
hiring
think, Corey?
for a certain
Adam?
job, if we're hiring,
Yeah, I mean, definitely have a few pieces that are geared towards the company, but do the stuff you love. Like,
yeah.
If it's really cool looking, it's really cool looking, regardless of style. So, like, when we hired on some contractors, it wasn't necessarily like the styles fit one to one, but it's like, oh, they made good art. That's the most important thing, right? Like, you're only as strong as your weakest piece. So, yeah.
Nope, I completely agree. And Adam, it seems like you had something to say, or?
Yeah, I agree with these guys. Normally your portfolio would consist of things that you enjoy working on in your free time, or it's something that you're trying to do for a living. So it should be your passion of what you're creating. It is good to show a range, and if a range is important to you, then it shows that's what you want to do for a career too.
Yeah,
so,
I completely agree.
Yeah, if you want to do more stylized things, then you make more stylized things because you enjoy doing that, and that's what kind of job you'll get.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one question we've been having, pop up, which is, and this is obviously a testament to just how amazing all of you guys are, but what do you guys do to just improve? Is there any particular exercises that an inspiring character artist can do to improve his or her level, of quality?
Lots and lots of weightlifting, and make sure you get your fingers.
Yes. Push-ups.
Finger push-ups specifically, not just regular push-ups.
The bigger the biceps, the better the art. Look at Glauco. Look at this beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we roll, baby.
So you heard it here first from the character arts team. It's a lot of push-ups. So that's official.
No,
squats and pull-ups, dude. Forget the squats. Gotta have legs, man.
Don't forget legs.
Gotta
Don't
have
skip
that
the
back support.
leg.
So go ahead, Colin.
Gotta have that back support for when you're sitting down for 8 hours, 10 hours. But no, for real, I mean, again, it goes back to just doing what you love, man. If you really love it, you would do it, after hours, and no one has to like tell you to do it, sort of thing. So you'd always go out and seek information, new how to get better, and practice, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Practice is definitely the main point for me. Whenever I have time, just keep practicing.
Yeah, I think we all do personal stuff.
And
really
yeah. And I think in our industry, it's especially like character artists, because there's so many advanced or new technology. We definitely need to stay on the top of everything. Keep accepting like new technology, new software, new ways to do things. Keep learning.
Cool. Glauco?
Yeah, I agree with these guys. For me, I love doing traditional art too, like traditional sculpting. I think that adds a lot to my work. But yeah, it all comes to practicing and doing what you like, find ways to keep improving, either studying software, new technology, or keep pushing and developing your art skills.
Yep.
Cool. Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this on top of what everyone else is saying. Like, don't keep doing something if it's like not your favorite thing to make just because you're trying to improve. Like, leave time for fun stuff. Like, you're an artist. Like, enjoy things. That helps so much when you enjoy what you're working on. You're gonna go further with it.
Yep.
And instead of looking for the, all right, how do I finish this practice as fast as possible so I can move on to something I enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And Adam, I think we got your take on it as well, right?
Yeah, it's just doing things that you love in your free time that are related. So, like fan art of video games that you happen to play, like things like that. I think it's just keep practicing.
Cool.
Or fan art of the TV shows that you like to watch.
Yeah.
Like Naruto and Bleach? Like Bleach?
That's anime, yes. That too.
Bloodborne Sculpt.
Yes.
Right on. So last question before we sign off. So what do you guys think? And this is one of those awkward questions, which I know it's. What do you guys think contributed to the quality of art you guys created in this game?
Oh man.
What?
What
That's
made these characters so badass?
Although it's such a range of things. I mean, it's so hard to pinpoint any one particular thing, from lighting to shading to the texturing to it's so many.
It's teamwork.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
teamwork.
Yep.
So the riggers and the animators. I mean, it's insane.
It is teamwork.
Everyone trying to make sure
Yeah.
their field is like pushed to the limit, sort of deal.
Yeah. It is to me. It's really amazing to work with all these guys. When I said all these guys, I didn't mean like our character team is like the whole studio. When the whole studio is crunching, but not a lot of people is complaining because everyone is doing what they love and is pushing their limit to try to make the game to the next level. To me, that feeling is amazing, and it's because of this kind of attitude. To me, that Naughty Dog is one of the greatest company, and we make great games just because of this.
And I have to say, and on that note, I would agree with you 1,000%. The stuff that you guys created for this game is hands down, as a character artist myself, is inspiring. You guys are, constantly raising that bar. Now I'm gonna have to do a lot more push-ups and pull-ups, and sit-ups, and
Don't
Hey,
forget the squat.
Don't forget the leg day. Yeah, that's important.
leg day. Yeah, don't forget leg day.
Yeah, don't skip the leg day.
How many push-ups exactly do they need to do? I think there's a number, right?
Yeah, there's a number, right, Glauco?
A number? Yeah. Usually 53 is a good starting point.
Okay.
So before applying, just make sure you can do 53 straight, like
This is
no
true.
rest.
Like Jae-hoon.
Like Jae-hoon, yeah.
Dude, he did like 20. Never mind.
During the
It's a secret, man.
during the interview process, we just asked you to do push-ups. That's pretty much what we do in the interview. So,
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole interview. It just consists of push-ups.
Yeah.
And pull-ups.
Yeah.
So with no bar. With no bar.
No bar, yeah. Flying pull-ups. That's what we call them.
you have to sculpt one, 3D print it, and then use it.
So, guys, thank you so much from myself and everybody, all 2,100 people that signed up for the session. We just thank you so much for just an amazing time. Thank you for just your art. Thank you for your passion and what you guys do, constantly inspiring. Not just not just up and coming artists, but just the industry as a whole. Thank you for your time, and have an amazing weekend. Frank, thank you for staying up so
It's
late.
4:30 now. Yes, I don't need to sleep.
But thank you guys so much. It's Adam, Corey, Colin, Glauco, Frank, and the guys who were not able to make it. Thank you.
Thanks for everything, Manny.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you,
Yeah.
man.
Thank
Thank you all for
Thanks,
listening.
guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Have a great
Yeah, thank
weekend,
you all.
guys.
Go do
Cool.
some good art.
Go do some good art.
Yeah. Go do some push-ups. Oh, sorry. Good out.
20, 21, 22.
23. All right, guys.
Right now. We'll do a virtual push-up competition.
Right on.
Have a good one, guys.
You guys have a great one. Frank, thank you so much, brother.
No problem. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Later,
Later.
guys.
Later.